We, as humans, have a long and glorious history of taking computers and shoving them into things that didn't really need to have computers in them for as long as we've had computers that were small enough to shove into things. We've looked around the world and said, hey, where's a crock pot I can stick this computer in? That's just what we do. It's our nature. We're nerds. We think let's put a computer in, it'll make it better. The front door, it needs a computer, obviously. Otherwise, how is Amazon going to be able to enter your home and surveil everyone who comes and goes from there? Clearly, every kitchen appliance you have needs not only a computer and an IP address, but it needs a microphone, because how else are you going to cook food? I mean, let's be really honest here. And so it should come as no surprise that we managed to stick computers into shoes. And most of you have probably seen this news that Nike's self-lacing sneakers, which make my brain hurt. On the one hand, I want self-lacing sneakers from Nike because Back to the Future 2. However, bad idea. Well, it turns out it's a really, really bad idea. There's been a bunch of articles talking about this. I'm going to read a couple of quotes here from ArsTechnica.com's because it amused me the most. This is entitled, Nike's Self-Lacing Sneakers Turn into Bricks After Faulty Firmware Update. $350 self-lacing sneakers don't work with Nike's official Android app. Nike users are experiencing some technical difficulties in the wild world of connected footwear. Nike's $350, holy heavens, Adapt BB sneakers are the latest in the company's line of self-lacing shoes, and they come with the Nike Adapt app for Android and iOS. The app pairs with the shoes and lets you adjust the tightness of the laces, customize the lights, yeah, there are lights, and see how much battery life your shoes have left. The only problem, Nike's Android app doesn't work. Android users report that their new kicks aren't pairing with the app properly, and some customers report failed firmware updates for the shoes, which render them unable to pair with the app at all. Nike's app on Google Play has been flooded with one-star reviews in response to the faulty update. One user writes, the first software update for the shoe threw an error while updating, bricking the right shoe. The right shoe. I like the idea that your faulty Android app bricks only one shoe. Another says, app will only sync with left shoe and then fails every time. Also, app says left shoe is already connected to another device whenever I try to reinstall and start over. That's my favorite, my absolute favorite. My left shoe won't even reboot, writes another. One user offers a possible solution, saying you need to do a manual reset of both shoes per the instructions. You gotta turn your shoes on and off again in order to make your shoes work, dude. This is just the stupidest thing. I live not too far from Nike headquarters. Nike dudes. Just ask me next time you get an idea about how to pair your smartphone with your shoes in a possible future shoe, and I will tell you whether or not it's a terrible idea. This, in case you were wondering, horrible idea. My left shoe won't even reboot. I mean, it's funny because we all saw it coming. You know what I mean? Like every single one of us, probably including everyone who worked on this shoe, was sitting there thinking, this is going to be funny when the shoes are bricked, when you can't use your shoes. You use the apps to tighten your shoes. So you break your shoes, dude. Like how does it get? I mean, I guess I know the answer. It's a sort of a hypothetical question. How does it get to the point where they actually release something that's this obviously a terrible idea? But I mean, I know I've worked in big companies before. Stuff like this just has a way of having momentum where it happens, and it's the stupidest thing. in the world, but it happens. We put computers in our shoes and it wound up ruining shoes. We managed to ruin shoes because we thought, let's stick a computer in it and pair it to a smartphone. I feel like there's a lesson to be learned in here, and I feel like I don't need to say what that lesson is. Like, I just don't need to. Every single person watching this video is going, yep, I agree. I agree with the actual lesson that we're all learning here today. Everyone should take it to heart and we should move on. Like, it's just a given thing. I have upstairs a crock pot. That was gifted to me. I made fun of this crock pot a lot. It's a Wemo internet enabled crock pot. It's a crock pot connected to the internet because your crock pot needs an IP address, gosh darn it. Otherwise, it's just not going to make stew. So I made fun of it for like 2 or 3 years. And then I was speaking up at a conference up at Linux Fest, and the folks at Linux Fest Northwest gifted me one of these internet-enabled crockpots. It's kind of like a joke gift, and it was a very, very funny joke gift. Turns out, great crockpot as long as you don't connect it to the internet or your phone, because the moment you do that, it starts getting funky and flaky and weird. But if you just disconnect it entirely and just use the one button that's on the front to set the heat, it's a great crock pot. So if you take internet connected things like shoes and just remove all online functionality from it, they don't work too bad. But holy moly, shoes? Really? Come on, Nike. I mean, I want to be Marty McFly as bad as the next nerd, but when you watched Back to the Future 2, one of the takeaways should have been things didn't always work all that well. Like, parts of the TV in that movie were broken. The little retractable fruit hangy thing didn't retract when it was supposed to. I mean, stuff didn't always work so well, because the more complex you make something, the more it's going to break. That's just always the case. It's never not the case. It's always the case. And sometimes it's worth it. Sometimes the added complexity and the potential breakage is worth it because the thing that you're accomplishing is new or rad or makes something we used to do so much fundamentally better. Just like, wow. Like, for example, the show I'm producing right now is wicked easy for me to produce because like technologically, right? Because I got to do all the compositing stuff and it's very simple. The software is advanced. The computers I use are advanced and they are way more technologically complicated than the machinery used to produce similar types of shows 20 or 30 years ago. But what I can accomplish now is significantly more advanced. So then it's like, okay, well, you weigh it, the pros and the cons. It's more complicated, ergo it's probably going to be buggier, but I can do more, better, and faster now than I ever could before. Shoes, however, how much easier is it for you to, instead of reach down and retie your shoes real quick, like 20 seconds, how much easier is it to pull out your Android or your iOS smartphone, assuming your device is properly and currently paired to both of your speakers, which apparently is not a foregone conclusion, and open up the application, wait for the data to sync, and then adjust digitally the lace tightness, I guess? Like, how is that making it any better? That's the thing, is you made it more complicated without making it better. People, don't do that. Don't stick a computer into something that didn't need a computer unless you're really, really going funky with it. Like, if it's just, like, make one pair of the self-lacing shoes just because it's funny. Like, that's totally worth it because it's funny. To actually own and wear one around as your regular shoes, you're just begging for danger. Also, if your shoes can run out of battery and then you can't lace them up anymore, that's just great. I think that's great. You know, if you're the kind of person that's going to go and buy said shoes, I think you deserve to have your shoes not lace up when you forget to charge them. Holy macaroni, people. I don't really have much more to say about that other than, holy crud muffins. This episode of I Am Negative About Things is brought to you in part by Pogo Linux. Pogo Linux, they make big, beefy, awesome computers that serve a stinking purpose. They don't take a computer and shove it into a crock pot or a pair of sneakers or a hat. They didn't say, ooh, that's a very fine bolo hat, sir. Here, let me put a Xeon server in it. No, though actually that might be kind of cool. See, this is just it. Go crazy and shove a server where it doesn't belong, and it's funny. It's cool. Doing it once or twice is rad. Make it into an official product line and forcing everyone to now be subservient to installing your Android app to lace up their shoes. That's a real bad idea. Pogo Linux doesn't have bad ideas. They have awesome ideas. Awesome ideas filled with totally rad servers. Go check them out over at pogolinux.com. And then you can check over my website. Go to lunduke.com. You can subscribe via RSS feed. You can go get the LBRY version of this show, which if you don't know what that is, there's links on the website to check that out and all sorts of other good stuff. Hey, look at this. You scroll down to the bottom. Oh, a best of reel or something like that. I don't know. It's a little website. You can take a look at it. Holy heavens. But seriously, I am cooking something in my crock pot tonight.